Hello, Palla parents. Thank you so much for taking some time to review this video. We'll be covering a lot of information regarding our reopening plan. And if you have any questions at any time, all you need to do is please be sure to give our office a call. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So today what we're going to be covering are a welcome back to our Palla Elementary School. We'll talk a little bit about the stable groups that have been established in California, as well as safety measures that we'll be taking here at Palla and the way that we'll be transitioning back to campus. Of course, the safety of your children and the district staff is a priority for all of us. Our goal is to provide you with the information you need to make an informed decision of whether you're going to be sending your student back to in-person learning or whether you'll be remaining on distance learning for the remainder of the year. We'll talk a little bit about some district safety measures and some precautions, and you also have the right to continue with distance learning if it is your option. So first I want to talk a little bit about some stable groups and how students and staff will be grouped while they are on school campuses. Since we are still in the purple tier in California, the law basically has established that classes need to be a stable group of no more than 16 individuals, and that includes the students and the adults. Each class will stay together for all activities and they will not interact with children or adults from other classes. And each class will have a designated area for breaks, as well as including staff and students. They will be remaining physically distant in all locations as much as possible. And these are the regulations as long as our Kern County is in that purple tier. I want to talk a little bit about what those stable groups look like in the classrooms. The classrooms, they will be arranged to maximize space between students. All seating and desks will be at least 6 feet apart. And this is actually one of our classrooms. We have all of our desks that are seated 6 feet apart. Each student will have a clear corral on their desk to provide separation between staff and students. And you'll notice here, this is a double desk, but these students will not be there at the same time. There'll only be one student at these desk seating stations at a time. Each student will have their own desk, their own chair, and their supplies, as well as technology that is consistent with those students' individual needs. Their belongings will be placed in individually labeled storage containers, cubbies, or student-assigned areas, and the classroom will have signage throughout to really discuss that 6 feet separation and social distancing. So the safety measures that our district is taking to make sure that we keep our children and our school employees safe include the recommendations from the CDC. All of our students and staff are required to wear face coverings. Hand washing will be encouraged throughout the day, as well as that 6 feet of physical distance separation. We talked about the stable groups in terms of your kids will stay together within that same group. We have a symptom tracker that we do have all of our employees perform before coming to school, as well as we are going through guidance from the Kern County Public Health, and as well as administering COVID tests frequently. So what can you do as a parent if you are going to be sending your student back to school? Before you do send your student back to school, every day you should be taking your child's temperature, making sure that they do not have a temperature of higher than 100.4 degrees. If they do have a temperature, then you need to make sure that you're keeping them home and that you're not sending them to school until they are cleared by a nurse or a doctor. If your child is feeling sick, if your child recently has come in close contact with somebody that had COVID-19, then they should definitely stay home. If your child has tested positive, or if somebody in the household has tested positive for COVID-19, they should stay home, or if they're showing any of the symptoms, definitely stay home. But we want to encourage that active screening every single day before you even walk out the door with your student. In terms of our staff, We encourage and we mandate that all of our staff do the same exact thing. Before our teachers and our staff members come to work, every day they are required to complete a daily self-symptom review. They make sure that they do not have a temperature. They make sure that they have not had any close contact with any COVID-19 patients. They make sure that they have had 0 symptoms within the last 24 hours. So we're also performing those daily screening measures to make sure that our staff doesn't expose any of your students to those things when they arrive here to work. When we do come into campus, all of our staff is required to take a temperature check, to perform a temperature check. We are not allowing any visitors on our campus at this time. We are limiting the amount of deliveries. Everybody that does step foot on our campus will be required to perform a temperature check as well as review their symptoms and make sure that they have not had any COVID symptoms. We are not allowing parents or visitors into classrooms or to visit our campus. We're really trying to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe on our campus. When you do enter our campus, our students are made aware of keeping that 6 feet of social distance. We have markers throughout to make sure everybody is following those guidelines. When students do arrive here to school, we will have active screening for illness at all entry points. Before a student boards the bus, their temperature will be taken. All students are required to wear a mask if they do ride the bus. Students who exhibit symptoms en route will be sent to a designated space on the bus, and then upon arrival, students who exhibit any symptoms will be sent to our triage room for further evaluation to make sure that there is no illness or sickness. Also, when you arrive with your student, you will remain in the car as well as your student. If you are driving them to school, we will take their temperature before they exit the vehicle and before they walk onto our campus. If staff or students, again, if anyone exhibits any of those symptoms, they will be sent home or they will be sent to our triage room for further evaluation. During the school day, let's say your student is in class and they do experience some sickness or illness, we will send them to our triage room and isolate them, and we will make sure to notify you as soon as possible, and you will have to come and pick up your student, but we want to make sure that all of our students are safe, so that's what our protocol will be if a student or staff experiences any symptoms during the day. Again, we really want to reiterate that if you have any of these symptoms or if your children are exhibiting any of these symptoms, you want to make sure that you keep them home. We are working with the county health department to contact trace to help stop the spread in our community. If you have had any of these symptoms or been exposed or tested positive for COVID-19, it is very, very important that you contact the school and let us know, so that way we can follow up on our end to make sure if we need to notify any of our staff or any of our students if there was an exposure. And an exposure is defined as someone who was within 6 feet of an infected person for a cumulative of total of 15 minutes or more over a 24-hour period. With screening for illness, like I said, we will put all of those students, if there is any symptoms, we will immediately put them in our triage room. Students will be given a face covering and sent to that isolation room. Students and staff, their temperature is rechecked. They ask some questions if they were potentially exposed to anyone that might have had COVID. Students and staff, they'll remain in that room until the parent or guardian is able to come and pick them up. There are 6 things that you need to know in order to return to school. Our safe school return will really be pushing for avoiding those 3 C's. We want our students and our family members to make sure they are avoiding closed spaces, crowded places, as well as close contact with anyone. We want to make sure that we practice the 3 W's, and we wear a mask, we watch our distance, and we wash our hands frequently. Throughout our campus, we will encourage all of our students to maintain that 6 feet of physical distance. This is an actual video of our campus, and we do have markers throughout our campus to make sure that our students are aware that they need to stay away from one another and that they need to be 6 feet apart. So the blue dots represent 6 feet of space so that they know this is how much space we need to have between one another. This is a sample of what our classrooms actually look like. We, like I said, have the clear corrals around each of the students' desks to maximize that protection for your students. And there is a 6 feet of space between each of the desks and between each of the students. And we would like for you to also help your children understand the concept of social distancing as well. This flyer will be sent home, and we encourage you to keep it in a handy place. We want you to be able to use it as a reference guide. So that way, if you have any questions of whether it is safe to send your student to school or whether you should keep your students at home for that day, it will give you a good guide in terms of what you need to do on any given particular day if your student is experiencing any symptoms. Now I want to talk a little bit about cleaning and disinfecting procedures here at our campus. This is our main custodian, Miss Kim, and her and the custodial team actively clean and disinfect our school. It is continually being cleaned and disinfected daily. We continue to clean frequently touched surfaces at least daily and shared objects after each use. Every day we clean the desks, tables, and chairs, door handles, light switches, seats, handrails on buses, keyboards, etc. Classroom and common areas, you'll notice she has that green machine there. They are fogged every night to disinfect, and that fogger really spreads out the fog throughout the classroom to make sure our classroom is clean and disinfected for the next day. Additionally, all of our schools here in the Greenfield Union School District have really invested in making sure that our air filtration systems are top notch and the air filtering through the classrooms is safe. We regularly inspect our filters and replace those filters as needed. We are using the American Society of Heating and Refrigeration Air Conditioning Engineer Guidelines for proper air filtration and using high quality air filters to make sure that the air filtering through the classrooms is safe. For transportation, Palla is a walking school, and so our students don't necessarily take the bus. But if they are going to take the bus, or if they have special needs where they do need to take the bus, you will need to complete a transportation form in order to get the students to take the bus. But like I said, most of our students here at Palla, we are a walking school, so most of our students do not take the bus. If the student actually does take the bus, they are separated on the bus, and their names are they have a specifically identified bus seat that is assigned to them, and they are not allowed to sit together. This is just an image of what one of the buses does look like. But most of our students, like I said, they do walk to school, so very few ride the bus. This is just a little bit about our cleaning procedures for our buses. They do make sure that they clean those buses daily. They make sure that they're spraying down and disinfecting just the way they do within our classrooms. In terms of nutrition services and meals for your students, students that decide to return to instruction here on our campus, there will not be any meals served here in our cafeteria. All students that come back to in-person learning will receive a grab-and-go lunch, just like this student is receiving here. They'll receive a grab-and-go lunch and breakfast to eat at home. On Mondays and Thursdays, they'll get a grab-and-go for 1 breakfast and 1 lunch. And then Tuesdays and Fridays, they'll get a grab-and-go for 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches. For those students that are remaining on distance learning, they will pick up their lunches every Wednesday in a drive-through, just the way they have been currently doing, and they will receive 5 days of grab-and-go breakfasts and lunches. So that will continue for our full distance learning students. A little bit about our movement and transition of how we're going to get back on campus. In order to maintain that social distancing, our drop-off and our pickup procedures are going to look very, very different. We have designated locations throughout our campus where everybody will be actively screened and their temperature will be taken as they walk onto our campus, and everybody will be socially distant. We will have signage throughout our campus to make sure that it is very clear where you enter and exit, as well as to minimize that flow of traffic. Students will go straight to their classroom upon arrival, so there will not be any morning recess, and students will go to their classroom where their teacher will immediately escort them inside, and they will begin instruction. At dismissal, staff will take their grade level, their classes to their gates or to their car pickup designated area, and they will remain there until you pick them up. Let's talk a little bit more in detail about where all of those entrances and locations are. From the front of the school, we will be receiving our kindergarten drop-off and our TK drop-off. So if you are driving your student to school and you are a kindergartner or you are a TK student, you will drive through this loop. You will remain in your car. The student will also remain in your car. One of our noon aides will walk up to the car. They will take their temperature, and then the student will be escorted into our building. So in the front of our office, this will be our kindergarten car drop-off and our TK drop-off. If you are a kindergartner and you are walking, you will walk through this here where the temperature will be taken, and then they will walk directly to their class. And this is the kindergartner walker gate only. There will not be any cars permitted to be in this area here. This is for our walkers. Our first and second grade car drop-off pickup area will be in the main car drop-off pickup area by the playground. And again, this is strictly car drop-off. Students will not be allowed to exit their car. Their temperature will be taken in their car. Once their temperature is cleared, then they will be permitted to exit their vehicle and enter into our campus. This gate will be only for our first grade walkers. Our first grade walkers will enter this gate. Their temperature will be taken, and then they will be permitted to enter our campus. Our second grade walker only gate will be this gate here. This is our old walker entrance. This will only be for our second grade students. They will take their temperature and then enter our campus. If you are a third through a fifth grade student and you are a car drop-off, you will go through the loop near our cafeteria. Again, you will remain in your car until your temperature is taken, and then third through fifth graders will exit their vehicle and be directed out and escorted to their classrooms. If you are a third through fifth grade walker, you will be using the gate by cafeteria. They will exit, they will walk up to this gate. There will be a car drop off in this location. So they will enter this gate, their temperature will be taken, and then they will be directly escorted to their classroom. So third through fifth grade walker gate only. And it's very, very important that you please help us to make sure that you're following these guidelines, and that if you are truly a walker, that you're going through this area. If you're truly a car gate, you go to the car gate area. This will definitely help maximize that social distancing and avoiding those groups of people, and making sure that all of our students and staff are safe. Again, remember, if a positive COVID-19 case does occur at school, we will be implementing the safety measures that go along with our state and local regulations. You will be called if a confirmed exposure occurs here at our school, and you will remain at home until released by Kern County Department of Public Health, and they will continue to quarantine. If your student does have to quarantine, they will participate in distance learning for the amount of that quarantine time. So let's talk a little bit about the programs about here at Palla and the specific dates that we are anticipating for our students to return. On Monday, February 22nd, just this past Monday, we had our special day class pre-K program. So our pre-K students that are in our special ed program began instruction in our on Monday, February 22nd. Monday, March 8th is our anticipated return date for our TK, kindergarten, and first grade students. It's Monday, March 8th. Monday, March 15th, we anticipate to add our second and third grade students. And then Monday, March 22nd, we anticipate to be able to add our fourth and fifth grade students. If you do have students in the middle school, our seventh and eighth grade students, they will continue with full distance learning at this time due to state regulations. The items that we will be covering in terms of curriculum, we will be teaching the grade level standards and with a priority on the essential standards for what is most important for that particular grade level. We know we've lost a lot of instructional time this year and distance learning is very tough. So they're going to really be focusing on the most important concepts in reading and in math and in writing. Interventions will continue, but we will not interfere with in-person instruction. So any kind of intervention that your student may receive will continue to occur during a Zoom session when they are at home. This is the schedule for our students that will be returning back to school. And it is a total of 675 minutes. We will have an AM group of students and a PM group of students. Those students that will come in the morning will arrive between 8:10. They will get their temperature taken and then they will head immediately to their class. Class will begin at 8:30 and it will end at 10:55. They will remain in their classroom and they will be with their teacher. They will get that grab and go lunch and then they will be escorted off of our campus. Dismissal for the AM group time will occur at 10:55. Then our kids in the PM group will come to school at 12:20 and they will remain with their teacher until 2:45. And they will be dismissed at 2:55 where they will be, they will also take their breakfast and lunch for the next day. On Wednesdays, all of our students will be on distance learning. They will have 3 instructional sessions at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. And then the remainder of the day on Wednesday will be synchronous instruction where students will work on programs such as Lexia and Freckle. Students that decide to remain on distance learning will have a schedule that looks like this. They will have morning sessions from 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. And then after 12 o'clock, they will have their lunch and they will work on their assignments individually. TK through kindergarten will finish school at 12. First through third will finish school at 1:35. And then fourth and fifth will finish school at 1:45. On Wednesdays, everybody will have that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock schedule. And then Thursdays and Fridays, they'll be back to the regular 8, 9, 10, and 11. So 4 instructional sessions for those students that will be remaining at home. Parents, we really want to help you and encourage you to do the following. Please make sure you teach your student about the importance of wearing a mask, show them how to put it on properly, as well as how to practice that physical distancing. And we want to really encourage all of our students, and if you can definitely help us out by making sure you're teaching them proper hand washing techniques and checking those symptoms before they come to school. Staff here will also be working on making sure students are aware of the importance of wearing a mask. We will be discussing the importance of wearing a mask, frequently washing our hands, using hand sanitizer, remaining 6 feet apart, as well as making sure that our students do not share items and that they are safe. Some of the frequently asked questions that you may have, I wanted to address these right here. So we've gotten a lot of phone calls, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. And so let's start with, depending on if we return to in-person school or remain on distance learning, student get to keep their current teacher. Well, since we have some teachers that will be teaching in-person students and different ones teaching distance learning, it is a possibility that your child may be switched to a different teacher. Another frequently asked question is, will I get to pick if I want my child to attend in the AM or in the PM session? And we have established the classes already. So no, the AM PM sessions are determined mostly by the household address. So for example, if you have a even address, your student will be placed in the AM session. And if you have an odd address, your student will be placed in the PM session. We've also had to make some changes depending on the amount of space within a classroom or in the instructional program if the student has special education services that they need to get. So there are some modifications that need to be made in terms of that determination of whether you'll get AM or PM. But for the most part, students with even addresses will be in the morning, students with odd addresses will be in the afternoon. What if my child has seasonal allergies with a runny nose or a cough? Well, since those are COVID symptoms, you'll be instructed to keep your student at home. A doctor's note will be required to return for in-person instruction. Are masks required for all students, and can they wear a face shield instead? Well, masks are required for all students and staff unless there is a physical reason with a doctor's note indicating otherwise. Face shields do not replace masks. Students may wear a face shield, but they also must wear a mask as well. Is the school going to test or provide a vaccine for my student? At this time, there is not yet a vaccine approved for students. Of course, we encourage all families to get their students COVID tested frequently. We know that our staff and our district employees will be frequently COVID testing, and we will continue to do so to make sure everyone is safe. Is there daycare or will after-school program be available? Neither will be available at this time because we are not allowed to mix students or groups in this purple tier. Can you change from distance learning to in-person learning after the start date? Yes, but it will take some time. And additionally, if students do change from distance learning or to in-person learning, there is a high possibility that they may need to switch their teacher again. So that is definitely something that you need to make sure that you're keeping in mind. What we need from you is we need your information. We need to figure out from how many distance learning teachers we're going to need, which students will be returning, which students will remain on distance learning. And we've sent this intent to return form home. We sent it home on Monday night, and your teacher also sent out the link or will be sending out the link. We need you to complete this form no later than Friday, February 26th at 5 o'clock to let us know if your student will be returning for in-person school or will be remaining on distance learning. If you do not complete this form, or if we do not receive it by Friday, February 26th at 5 o'clock, we will assume that you would like to keep your student on distance learning and we will place them in that class. Complete the bus service request form if you need transportation, but like I said, Palla is a walking school, so most of our students do not qualify for transportation. After school program, like we will not be having the after school program, but it will continue virtually and daycare will not be available at this time. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to send us a message on Parent Square, or you can definitely reach out and contact our office. Our phone number here at Palla is 837-6100. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation, and we look forward to welcoming back your students safely, and we'll support your students and you along the way. Thank you. Bye-bye.